Carolina and BYU came down to the buzzer on Friday night. Tyler Zeller was there courtside on the radio call. Time to get his biggest takeaways.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Want to thank you so much for making us your first listener watch to get that Tuesday going the right way. And I want to give a special shout out to all the everydayers and all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community. Man, that thing was going crazy on Friday night during this game, as well as our Locked On Tar Heels insiders, where you get free access to all of my stats and charts and data and record books. I can tell you everything Tyler Zeller ever did as a Tar Heel, and you can be a Locked On Tar Heels insider and find that out as well. Speaking of, the man is here with us, Tyler Zeller, I believe making his third appearance on Locked On Tar Heels. We're going to lose count at some point, but right now I got it in my head. This is going to be a great opportunity to have a fun conversation because Tyler was on the radio call Friday night with Jones Angel. And so, man, literally a front row view at this game and everything that it entailed. And, you know, he had to give his color analysis the whole time. So we're going to shrink that down and get 30 minutes of it here today. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off for your first purchase. More specifically, here's how Tyler and I are going to unpack this today. I've asked him in this first segment to give me his three biggest observations, takeaways from it, plus a couple other observations. Obviously, he played with them this summer. How have they grown since then? How much of a difference will Luka make when he's back in the lineup, etc.? And that big concern I've got with the backup five, things did not help that on Friday night. Second segment, I'm going to ask Tyler what was confirmed, different, or still in question from his offseason thoughts about the team. And then it's cool because tomorrow night, Wednesday, one more exhibition game, one more chance for Carolina to iron out some kinks before Central Arkansas comes to the Smith Center next Monday, November 3rd. Great stuff. Tyler, great to be together. Glad you made it back safely from Salt Lake City. Welcome in. Let's do this thing. My man, give me your three biggest observations from this game.
So I think the first one, most importantly, it was a preseason game. It was sloppy in the beginning. You know, we had some passes. Somebody cut while this guy thought he was going to stay. We threw it behind him. We had a lot of what would be deemed careless turnovers in time, but it was more just miscommunications. I think you got to see BYU is very good. They're very talented. They're very quick. They're strong. And I think it was really good to be able to see them against our guys, and we adapted. I think the last 24 minutes we played really, really well. The first 16, a little shaky. We had some issues from multiple people, but like Derek Dixon, he came in. He's the definition of why we play this game. He came in, he struggled a little bit, had a two passes to Jarin Stevenson, he threw behind him, had an air ball, and then all of a sudden he just settled in, and he was the Derek Dixon we've known since he got on campus this summer. And a couple others, didn't quite settle in as much, but you really got to see how athletic and big and long we are. And so it was really good. That's my first one. The second one, I think we have to shoot better from three. I think Luka is a big part of that. He spreads the floor. He opens everything up. It makes it a lot easier. And I think it'll come. We have more shooters than we did last year. And then the third one, and surprisingly, this kind of goes from last year. Surprisingly, the biggest run they had was 5 points. And I think just being able to minimize those huge runs. Last year, we had so many times where it'd be 8-0, 10-0, and then you go on a little break and you work back and 8-0 run again. And I think they got up by 8 is the most they ever got up by, and we got up by 4 with about 5-ish minutes left.
Yep.
And so just really encouraging to see that. I didn't like how we played from behind by 2 to 5 points all night.
Yep.
But we were 2 to 5 points behind. We're one run away from winning. And so it's a lot better than, these big runs we went on last year. And then just having a battle back, it was really good to see that consistency.
Tyler, I love every one of those, but in particularly the run that you mentioned, I hadn't thought about that angle of it, but man, obviously we're all thinking about we bookended the season with the game at Kansas getting down by 50 million and then racing all the way back. And the same thing against Ole Miss in the first round of the tournament, and seemingly every game in between. That's what Carolina was doing. And yeah, I mean, neither team led this game by double-digit points, but the fact that it not only was it that, but Carolina stopped BYU from ever going on any kind of big run speaks to what Coach Davis has been talking about. The defense, similar to 2 years ago, is going to be a DNA of this team. That's a great observation. I want to follow up with something else you said in there. You said BYU is talented. They're quick, strong, and good. They're the number 8 team in the nation, Tyler, preseason. How much stock do you put into, like, Carolina just went, I know it's not a true road game. It wasn't in the Marriott Center, but whatever. This is a true road game. How much stock do you put into Carolina just hung with the number 8 team in the nation in essentially a road game, even though it's an exhibition? Does that matter?
Yes. I'm going to say yes and no. It very much says yes, because BYU and Carolina both played this as a real game. They had a couple extras that they probably threw in for 2-3 minutes, but overall the main guys were playing. You had 7 or 8 guys who were in a rotation coming through, and then we throw in Zayden High, James Brown. You kind of sprinkle those guys in. They did the same thing with a couple of their guys. And so overall, you get to see your guys against their best guys. And then you got the few extra minutes. So you got to take it with a grain of salt, but at the same time, you really did get to see really good matchups, really good combinations, who plays well with who. One of the things I've always been really intrigued by is when Veesaar goes out, how does Wilson do? Who do we put at the 5? Do we rotate small? Do we go big? And with Kada, we couldn't go small. So you got to have somebody. He was a monster on the boards.
He's a beast, dude.
He was. And Veesaar doesn't like physicality as much as some 5 men. And so Kada did a great job getting into him, getting after him. But then that backup big, you can't put a Stevenson or Wilson on him because he's just too big. And not to say they can't out athleticism, but you don't want to wear him down very quickly trying to battle with him. So it made for some challenges.
Well, let's stay in that vein then, Tyler, because, one of the biggest concerns I've had this whole offseason, ever since Van Allen Lubin left to go to NC State, was the backup 5 role, because you put him in against Kada. You feel better about that when Veesaar's on the bench. But instead, as you said, you've either got to shift Caleb Wilson or Jarin Stevenson over to the 5, or the hope is that Zayden High and or James Brown can handle that. I thought Zayden High had some really good minutes in the Cherokee scrimmage last Saturday, but unfortunately, man, it was not that Friday night in Salt Lake City. So what is your kind of take on what your hope is for those backup 5 minutes?
I think really Zayden, he hasn't played in a year and a half, whatever it's been. So he has been really good in practice. He's been he earned that spot. He did not start with that backup 5 spot, and he has earned it over training camp. I think some of the physicality, length, and speed of BYU got to him a little bit. Part of it just not having played for that long, it's difficult. And so, but he's a little bit of a wild card, and he always has been. He can come in and he can be very effective. If he can stay out of foul trouble, he can be very effective. He can be physical. He can battle. Yeah, there's always that. But and then other times he's not a guy who, like a Derek Dixon, who went in, had a really bad time, and found his way out of it. Zayden kind of he's full speed ahead, good or bad. And so there's going to be a little bit of that all year, but I think he's definitely earned the spot and earned those minutes to be the backup 5. And then hopefully James Brown can continue to come along and sneak in there against bigger guys, or when Zayden's in foul trouble or anything like that. But it's going to be interesting, because there are times too, if you don't have a Kada, big, strong, burly guy inside, you could go small. Wilson and Stevenson can easily guard that
100%
if they want to stay out of the lane and not run you over.
Right. Because you can move Jonathan Powell to the 3 or Luka to the 3 and go smaller like that, and that'll work. But I mean, one of the things with this team is there's not a Sean May, Bogavac, as we were talking about beforehand, or a Kennedy Meeks that has that bulk to really bang with the likes of a Kada. So we'll have to see how that develops. Of course, there's not going to be many teams that have that type of player in the center anyway, so we'll keep our eyes on it. Tyler, you mentioned Luka earlier, and you said, I think this team's going to be better shooting. Obviously, Luka's going to help with that. From what you've seen in practice and in other moments, How much of a difference really is it going to make getting Luka back into this thing? Obviously, Jarin Stevenson started at the 3 on Friday night, which made a ton of sense with him guarding AJ DiBanza anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But how does Luka change the floor and the ceiling for this team, I guess I'll say?
I think he's a playmaker. He's a guy who's really good off the dribble. He obviously can shoot, start with that. He's able to come off pin downs. He's going to make open shots. But then beyond that, he's really good driving the baseline, making that play. They do it a lot in Europe, trying to take the baseline, either get to the rim or you don't see it and be able to spray it out all over. And so he's really good at that. We need somebody who can facilitate, drive in the lane and kick out. And a lot of times I think right now when we get downhill, we're kind of stuck a little bit. So he does a great job of making those plays. I think he just adds a lot. Defensively, he's figuring out it's a different Europe plays a little more zone-ish. They don't as much man-to-man where we're spread out and all that. So he's getting there. But I think he's a huge asset. I think he's able to shoot so well. You're going to have to pull out onto him. You can't leave him open. Whereas some of the other guys are good shooters, but they're not as good as Luka, in my opinion.
And that helps so much too with Kyan Evans, who, yes, he's going to be the lead guard, but he's such a lethal 3-point shooter that, man, to have somebody else that can drive and attack and kick out to him, that's a massive win. And so I like the complementary nature of how that backcourt's all going to come together. Hopefully we will see Luka on the court sooner rather than later. Tyler, fingers crossed there.
We'll see. Who knows?
It's
I was asking the other day, it's a very complicated situation. So I don't know what's happening, what's going on, but hopefully soon.
Man. Well, look, guys, we all have off-season thoughts, whether you're me or Tyler or any of you listening or watching this, about what a team is going to be. But especially in this portal era with all the new moving parts, you never really know until they actually start playing games. So I want to ask Tyler, what of your off-season thoughts were confirmed? What of your off-season thoughts were different? And what still question marks up in the air? We'll get to that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, y'all, the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on that action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Look, even if you miss the start of a game or maybe you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything for who's going to score the next point to like fourth quarter comebacks. And you know, in the NBA, there's always fourth quarter comebacks. No point in even watching sometimes till the fourth quarter. Plus, honestly, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. Doing this, man, it keeps every game more exciting. I looked ahead to Carolina-Syracuse Friday night up in Syracuse. We're still calling it the Carrier Dome. I can't call it anything else. The Orange are favored by 1.5. Can Carolina finally get that first ACC win? We'll find out. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head on over to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Tyler, we know you've had some offseason thoughts about what this team is going to be. We've talked about them here on this show earlier this summer. But now that we're seeing Carolina actually get a game against an opponent, we start to get more of an idea of what has come true and what has not come true of those offseason thoughts. So let's start with what has been confirmed. What did you see Friday night that you thought confirms offseason prognostications about this team?
Love the word. I think one of the biggest things I noticed was our size. I think Henri Veesaar at the rim is so good. He challenged so much, but then more than that, he was able to challenge, and on the backside, we were able to rebound. Because a lot of times with Armando or when we were smaller, somebody'd come across and challenge and they'd get an easy layup on the backside because there's nobody back there to rebound. And with Stevenson and Wilson and even Trimble did a great job getting in there and rebounding and battling. And, Veesaar is not quite the biggest and strongest guy, but he did a great job holding his own against one of the more physical guys in the country. And so I'm really excited that he's able to challenge and create that much. He didn't have a ton of blocks, but he created a lot of problems at the rim, a lot of difficulty. And last year our guards would get beat and it was just easy. And so we talked about going small earlier. I mean, small for us, you go Derek Dixon at 6'5", you go Luka at 6'5", you go Trimble at 6'4", 6'5", and then Wilson, Stevenson. I mean, that's small. And so it's a good problem to have when that's small. Whereas last year we went small and they just post us up and it was a problem. And so it's been really good to be able to see that size and that athleticism pay off.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, Seth had 7 rebounds in this game. He was the second leading rebounder last year, led the team for most of the season. And so you get all of that. And as you said, for those who are like box score lookers that are like, well, I'm looking at this thing and Henri Veesaar had a grand total of 1 block. But to Tyler's great point, how many shots didn't show up in the box score that he altered, or Caleb Wilson's 3 blocks, right? Like you get all of that into a player's head, man, and it changes the psychology. So just make sure you're looking beyond the box score and actually watching how things are playing out there in the front court.
Caleb Wilson's 3 blocks. I know 2 of them, he just got completely beat.
Yes.
And then he's like, I'm more athletic than you, and pins it. And I'm like, oh goodness, that was impressive.
Well, the first one of them, was it the one Rob Wright beat him on the dribble? He recovered, blocked it. That was the one that went, I think, if I remember correctly, the one that went to the corner. They threw it up. Seth Trimble out jumped DeBanza for the ball. And that was the one-handed hoop in transition from Jonathan.
It was one of those plays you're like, wow, we are athletic.
It's crazy. So
I mean, Trimble and Wilson in transition a couple times. I'm like, I don't know which one. Like, I don't know how you stop that. Like,
yes, you're not going to. Tyler is the answer and the good answer.
Yeah, that's true.
Anything else that you want to add into the what was confirmed category?
I think we're still looking for a backup 5. I think very much indecision on that. And it'll change game to game. And then I think the starting point guard, I think right now Evans has got it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say Dixon doesn't have a chance still. I think it's gone back and forth, and they both played well enough to have a chance. I think early on, Dixon will not start. He's a freshman. He has not played college basketball. So you put in the older guy because they're pretty much even. But I think that's going to be a challenge all year, and they'll battle it out and mostly split minutes.
And that's a good thing, man, to have those 2 dudes challenging and pushing one another instead of it's just like Elliott is the point guard and there you go, right? Like there's just something psychologically as an athlete when you got to show up every day or I lose my starting spot. Like that is a real thing to process. So that is a good thing to have for this team. And man, Derek Dixon coming along is just such a great story. All right, Tyler, let's switch to the other side. What did you think about this team that's like, oh, actually this is for the better or for the worse, different than what you thought it would be?
Well, in a 1-game sample, we did not shoot well.
Sure.
We have shot much better in practice. We've moved the ball a little better. I think we were much better in transition during this game. But as far as getting shots, making shots from 3, we were not as good. I think we looked a little rushed. I mean, part of that comes with, Wright is extremely fast. DeBanza is extremely long and athletic. Yeah. It's just different shooting against those guys rather than maybe our second team at times. And so I think they saw it. I think they'll adjust, and I think it'll come. My hope is it'll come. Yeah. And then the negative, I struggle again. We were down with 3 minutes left, and we got to figure out those end of game situations. And, we got a decent shot at the very last play. But if you look at that, like Trimble got fouled on a 3 that could have gone either way. We had the Evans 3 that, it wasn't a terrible shot, but at that time of game, I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah. And then Caleb Wilson pulled up from the elbow it was overrun. He's open. It's a good shot most of the game. Again, I'd like a better shot from that play. And then you look at the other side, Caleb Wilson had the drive that he got blocked on. I love it. Just missed it. And then Veesaar had a couple good plays. So I think we just got to figure out what is our go-to, because we've had some really good plays where like, all right, that works perfect. And then other times it's like, I probably shouldn't have done that. And so just figuring out that. And thankfully this team has enough weapons that it's not a big issue of like, you just got to figure out who you want to go to each play.
To Tyler's point about transition, 18 fast break points recorded for Carolina. And so we'll take that. Tyler, take us inside the huddle on what you were just talking about a little bit there, a little glimpse inside of things. When you watch the film on that after the fact, and you see those like, hey, we had some good shots. There are better shots. Hey, we had, that's a shot. We can get any point in the shot clock. Let's fight to get, we're bigger and longer than we were last year. We don't have to settle for that. Like what is the film review on those end of game 3 minutes?
I think you just talk through. I think the last 2 to 3 minutes, it depends on the coach. A good shot every game, or the other 38 is not a good shot in those last 2. You got to make sure they're great shots. You get exactly what you want. Like I said, the one Caleb Wilson drove, I think he drove right and spun back and jumped to the guy's chest and just missed. Yes. It's a great shot.
He
missed it.
Go through him.
Yeah. And but like as he's in high school, he turns and nobody's there. He probably dunks it. It's a layup. It's a change. And so that's where you want him to take that shot, because in March, he's going to make it if he continues to do it. The Trimble play at the end, good play. He missed it, lost it. I still don't know exactly what happened because we were blocked off, but he missed it. And so, but those threes, I think you got to be better more focus. You realize you're getting downhill. And then BYU did a good job. We attacked them. They were blitzing or up in the pick and roll. That's where Veesaar got the 2 layups. And they switched it. And they just went big on the guard, small on the big. And so then we just got to either go back to the big or get the guard to go downhill. And
Yes.
I think we just got to adjust. It'll come. And then the other part is the good part. It's preseason. You don't want to show your end of game stuff. Like, you're not going to waste a really good play. Like, they walked out on the court and I'm like, I know exactly what play they're running. And it's because I've played long enough, not because I've been at practice. Like, I knew exactly where the ball was going, and they're not going to show their best plays in a preseason.
I mean, it was the same play they ran at the end of the Georgia Tech game a couple years ago down in Atlanta, Tyler. So it's like, yeah, we're not going to show you something new. In fact, here's something. I'm still mad that was not called a foul, by the way. RJ was fouled. Carolina should have won that game.
Oh, the one back. Yeah. That one he definitely was. I was going to say BYU. I don't know if he was fouled.
No.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I agree with the no call. I agreed with the no call Friday night. Yeah, the RJ situation. He was.
I would agree with that one.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I just think it's always fun for fans to hear, like, how is the team then processing, like, this was a perfect learning moment from exhibition, so how do we grow from it? All right, Tyler, last point on this before we move ahead to tomorrow's exhibition against Winston-Salem State. Is there anything in your mind of season notions? As you said, small sample size so far, just BYU and the 2 intra-squad scrimmages. But what in your mind is still a question?
Backup 5, I think, is the biggest one. I think Veesaar is going to play a ton of minutes. We can't afford for him not to, but also the way he plays he's not going to run out of energy extremely quick. He's big at the rim. He's going to be strong and physical, but it's not as much up and down as some of our other bigs. And then I think quickly we're finding out Caleb Wilson's our best player. I think, Trimble has moments. I think some of the other guys have moments, but he's so talented. He can score at the rim. He can rebound putback. He had the one where he just caught it in the post and shot it immediately. And then I was even really impressed as a freshman. He took that early 3 and then he didn't try to do it again. Like, you make that's fine. It's great. I didn't really like the shot. I was worried he'd continue to try to do that.
Yep.
But once he missed it, he got downhill. He got to the rim. He showed what he's so good for. And, it was fun to watch.
It really was. And I thought that was the difference. Like, Tyler, I don't know if you watched the Duke Tennessee game on Sunday night, but that was what Nate Ament, the great talented freshman at Tennessee, did not do well. He just kept taking bad shots. Meanwhile, Cam Boozer was just being a dude out there. And so
he's pretty good.
It's insane. 24 and 23 on Sunday night. What are we doing? But yes, I loved Caleb's maturity. He's this affable, fun-loving dude off the court, but he has his basketball wisdom is beyond his years, and it belies his youth. And I think that's a good sign for the Tar Heels, and excited to see it moving forward. Now,
I agree.
Oh, baby. One more exhibition opportunity, Tyler, tomorrow night back at home against Winston-Salem State. What does Carolina need to accomplish in their last tune-up before Central Arkansas comes to town next Monday night? We'll get Tyler's answers to that in just a second. Hey, right after I tell you about game time, y'all, college football is back. I couldn't be more excited despite Carolina's struggles, man. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets to these games can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. The lines are endlessly long. There's hidden fees. The prices skyrocket on you at checkout. I don't need any of that, and that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's easier and less stressful than any other way I've bought tickets, and I love that I can find the view from my seat right there in the app. Maybe you want to go see Carolina host Kansas next Friday. Oh my goodness. The tickets are already going down. This time last week when we looked, it was $450 for the get-in price. Right now on Game Time, $333. That's still expensive, but more than $100 off. Or maybe you don't want to spend all that. Well, you can get in the door for opening night next Monday again. As cheap as $33. Man, you need to pack out the Dean Dome and make it loud in there. Take the guesswork out of buying college football and basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, first opportunity to see the Tar Heels at home against another team tomorrow night, Tyler, 7:30 Eastern Time, ACC Network Extra. Not on your TV, gang, unless you have a smart TV. It's going to be streaming. Just make sure you got that figured out. I believe it's Tyler Hansbrough on the call with Jones, right? Not you tomorrow night. Yes.
Correct.
So Tyler just gets to be a fan of this game, and that's fun. When are you doing both games next week? What's your schedule?
Yeah, so I have all the games in November except the 2 in Fort Myer.
Okay.
So Thanksgiving, I was like, hey, it's Thanksgiving. I got 3 kids. Let's try to stay home. So
send Psycho T down there. I'm doing the rest of the month. Yeah.
I told him if he can do that, he gets a pretty home heavy schedule after that. So it works out well.
I love it. That's great. So Tyler Zeller on the call for essentially the month of November minus Thanksgiving week. That'll be St. Bonaventure and Michigan State, those 2 games. All right, Tyler, obviously a wildly different level of competition tomorrow night at home against Winston-Salem State. I personally like the order of playing the high major team first to find out about yourself and then seeing what you need to work on. Do you agree, or do you wish it was flip-flopped?
I agree, especially after the blue-white game, the game at Cherokee. You get to see some combinations of different guys, and then you throw them in the fire against the BYU, and then you reevaluate. You have, I don't know what it is, 4 or 5 days here, and then you can go at them again, hopefully be clean, crisp, know what you're doing. And, hopefully guys get to make some shots. I think that's the biggest thing I'm looking for. Does Evans come out and get comfortable and start making some threes? Does even Veesaar, does he get a couple post ups? Caleb Wilson, just let him get another game where he shows what he can do. Are we looking more pick and roll? Are we looking more post ups? Are we looking, and you put all these guys in situations you kind of know, but you don't know for sure yet. And then just see how everybody plays. And so I'm excited to see what they do. The different lineups. You give Zayden High and James Brown another opportunity to play. You might even throw in Ivan if he's healthy, and it's just one of those, you get a lot of minutes from a lot of people and you get to see everybody. And maybe Ivan comes out and has 6 points in two minutes. And you're like, all right, well, maybe I need to give him another look going forward. And so it's a great opportunity for guys. And we were talking about it off air for a moment, but it's a great opportunity. Like even Trimble, we don't have a RJ Davis or a Baycott who all right, we're going to throw it to Baycott and he's going to score and he's going to get 20 and 10 and it is what it is. Trimble's still trying to define his role. Is he a scorer? Is he in transition? Is he a point guard? And everybody on the roster is trying to figure that out. So it'll be really interesting who kind of shows out and who plays well. And as far as and then even more than that, who is clean and crisp and in the right places and guards the right people. Like Jarin Stevenson, he's never going to have rarely going to have a box score that's like, holy smokes. But he's a guy, he kept Demansa under control. He hit a couple threes, big threes. He just makes big plays.
Man, it kind of reminds me of Leaky in that way, right? Where you look at Leaky as a defender, and it's not like he's getting 8 gajillion stocks, blocks, and steals combined, but so much of that he does his work as a defender ahead of time where he doesn't have to make up for it in those ways. And obviously Jarin is, they're different players, but there are some similarities in that vein. Tyler, I'm always curious in these kind of games, and I want you to take me inside your brain as a high-level athlete on obviously it's easy to get up for the BYU game, but I feel like sometimes I learn more about who gets up for and takes seriously a game of this nature. How do the guys rise to that level of competition, and what does a coach learn about seeing how guys take it seriously or not?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I don't understand how you don't get up for a game to start. I think the one I always look at is when you're up by 20 or 30, can you keep your foot on the pedal? Or is it all right, we're up 20, we're good, I'm going to take a bad shot, I'm going to do this, and all of a sudden, you got 4 bad shots because everybody's decided to do their own thing. Can you stay focused? Can you stay locked in? Do you stay executing the right way? There are guys who struggle to get up for games like this. I've seen that too. And that is something to learn. And again, I've never understood that. From the start, you should be ready to go. And then if you get up by a bunch, that's when it gets really hard to stay locked in and really kind of continue to push. But hopefully they're good enough that they give us a little run and we're within 10, 15 in the first half, and then we can blow them out in the second half.
And that to me is the mark of a difference between a good to great team and a superior team, is one who says, nah, I'd throttle down, as you said. I don't care if we're up 5-20 or 87. We are going to end you. And that's the competitor I love to see. Now, Tyler, we're talking about this as the last opportunity to do it. Obviously, Central Arkansas coming to town next Monday night. They are preseason 346 that Ken Palm out of the 365 teams in D1. So in some regards, you do get a little bit more of a tune-up before Kansas comes to town that Friday night. So I guess we should keep that in mind as well. Tyler, if there's, maybe one or two specific things you're watching for, because as we said, you get to be a fan tomorrow night. What are you kind of like, man, I saw glimpses of this on Friday night. What's just something like, boy, I'd love to see more of this, or like a change from that?
I'd like to see more Henri Veesaar dominate the paint and be able to challenge a shot and then get back and get a rebound. It's a high level big. It's really hard to do. He doesn't get a long ways off the floor, and I mean that in a good way. He goes and challenges, uses his length, and then he's back on the floor, and he can change directions. He can go rebound out of his area also. I'd love to see that. I don't know if he's there yet, but that's a high level big thing. And then I'd love to see more Caleb Wilson in every way possible. Post ups at the rim, in transition. Just how far can he go? How good can he be? And I think his ceiling is so high. It'd be good to see. All right, let's see him push the limits a little bit. Let's see him try some new things, and he'll succeed at hopefully all of them, but he may fail at a couple, and you're like, all right, that's one we kind of try to go away from, and this is where we have to get him. And so I'd love to be able to see more of that.
Okay, well, all eyes on the Tar Heels tomorrow night again, 7:30 in the Dean Dome on ACC Network Extra. I'm looking at Winston-Salem State's roster as we talk. They have a 6'11" kid as a freshman, but everybody else is 6'9" or shorter. So front court should feast, and they need to, right? Show up, do the work, and dominate like you absolutely should, and we'll see it. Tyler, excited to hear you on the call next week. Both Central Arkansas and Kansas in the meantime. Enjoy just sitting back and enjoying one tomorrow night.
Appreciate it. It'll be fun. I don't get to do it often, so it's fun when I do.
That's exactly right. You guys, always great to have Tyler with us. Make sure you follow him on the radio call this year. Check him out and everywhere. We're just so grateful for his time and wisdom and insights with us here today. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, why not? It's free. It's a great place to be. We're hanging out. Try to make it a really safe place to be a Tar Heel fan, where you're not getting just negative stuff that you see all over the internet. Really trying to curate a healthy place to be. If you want to go next level with the show, Locked On Tar Heels Discord, Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program. That link is also in the show notes. A great way to help support what we're doing here on Locked On Tar Heels. Subscribe to the show, video and audio. Make sure you don't miss a second. We will be live tomorrow night after the game, giving you all of my takeaways in the moment of it. Those are always fun and a blast. The energy is just different vibes. The chat is popping off as well. Come join us late tomorrow night. It'll be a blast. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.